Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order, February 11th, 2019. Mr. Calavita, may I have a roll call, please?
Mr. DiDonato.
Present.
Ms. Linthorst.
Here.
Ms. Long.
Here.
Mr. Markulek.
Here.
Ms. Murray.
Here.
Ms. O'Reilly.
Here.
Ms. Pollara.
Here.
Mr. Sawicki.
Here.
Ms. Tracy.
Here.
We have a quorum.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Hopewell Valley Regional Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof communicated to the Hopewell Valley News, the Times, and the Trentonian on January 8th, 2019. This meeting notice was also sent to Comcast Cable and Verizon Fios. The board reserves the right to enter into executive session during all meetings of the Board of Education. The meeting is being videotaped for the purpose of board review, future reference, preparation of the minutes, and viewing on Comcast Channel 19, Verizon Fios Channel 32, and the school district website, www.hvrsd.org. May we all rise for the flag salute, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion, please, to approve the minutes of January 7th, January 14th, and January 28th?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Motion carries. Okay. Welcome, everyone. We have a very special presentation. We have some students who have something that they're very passionate about sharing with us tonight. I'm very excited about it. So without further ado, may we have the students come and report to us on their special interest.
So if I could just give you a little background, I think everyone is aware that the board is in the process of reviewing calendars for the next 3 years. We hope to have draft calendars to the board at their March meeting. Our calendar committee, our first meeting is Wednesday. We're looking at a number of draft calendars. Prior to that, we were invited to a presentation given by two young gentlemen from high school with Mr. Schrager and Ms. Brown, who is kind of their faculty advisors. But I want to underscore that these students completed all the work you're about to see on them by themselves. You know, it's a passion project for them, no assignments, something they felt strongly about. They've presented to the administration as part of our decision making for the board, for our calendars, and they requested a presentation in front of the board to share with that. Just so everyone knows, no decisions. You're not required to make any decisions tonight. It'll be part of the calendar process, but I thought that it was an opportune time for the students to share their information and the data they kept. I think you'll be quite impressed with the work they've done. Those of you who are statisticians, you'll learn about t-tests and some other things that they went through. So without further ado, Ms. Suzanne Brown.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Smith and members of the board. For those whom I haven't met, I am Suzanne Brown, business education teacher at Hopewell Valley Central High School. It's a pleasure to introduce to you tonight the gentleman here stand behind me, Drew Kapadia, currently a junior, was previously a personal finance student of mine, and he's rumored to have scored a 5 on his AP Stats test as a sophomore since moving on to Adam Schrager's room, but you know, those things are sometimes. And Rayon, also a junior, he's been an FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America member since his freshman year. He made it to nationals last year as a sophomore, and currently is running a fierce campaign running for New Jersey State FBLA president. So that'll be determined next month at our state leadership conference. What began as a casual conversation about some friends who were celebrating Diwali across the river quickly piqued our interest in terms of the demographic data that was available in the district at the time, and really who represented that data as far as the communities and the people in Hopewell. And so we really applaud you all just listening in tonight, because we felt and feel sincerely that this is a conversation for now. It's meaningful in all of the iterations, calendar iterations, and in light of the cultural sensitivity, we just thought no time more perfect than now to share what the boys have put together, and I'm calling them boys, but truly scholars when you see what they have to present tonight. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown, for that introduction, and also thank you guys all for coming and supporting us. As you know, I'm a junior at Hopewell Valley Central High School, and as Ms. Brown stated, I'm part of FBLA. I'm the current treasurer of FBLA. I'm also the co-founder and co-president of South Asian Society, participate in Model UN, and I'm also the class historian.
Hi, my name's Dhruv Kapadia. I'm captain of the tennis team, president of Model UN, class treasurer, and also co-founder and co-president of South Asian Society.
Right, so this all started the day before the volley this year, and Dhruv and I were just talking, we were doing some of our homework together, and then we were debating on whether or not we should go to school the next day or take the day off and celebrate the volley with our family. So as you know, taking a day off means we have to do tons of makeup work. There was definitely tests scheduled that day, a lot of projects we had to do, so after weighing the pros and cons, we ultimately decided that it wasn't worth skipping a day of school to have festivities with our family, and that we should just go to school and finish all the work and not have to make anything up and then enjoy the evening with our families. So from there, we wondered, like, well, how do we get the word out that we want to have off on the volley? So I'm part of the principal's advisory cabinet. So I asked Mr. Patel during one of the meetings, so who do I go to ask about getting the volley recognized as a holiday? And so he said that we have a calendar committee. So then from there, me and Dhruv actually went to speak with Ms. Pinelli, and then she told us that we should actually get straight into contact with Dr. Smith. And from there, she also gave us access to our school's demographics on the Department of Education, and along with that, some on-course data about our school.
Okay, so just getting into the beginning of the presentation. The data you guys are going to see in this come from three main sources, which is the New Jersey Department of Education, the on-course database, and 2 yearbooks. So the DOE, what we did with that, it's all public information, it's all posted, everyone has access to it. And we looked at the classes of, the Hopewell classes of 1999 to 2029, and we analyzed the demographics in all of those years and the trend that was observed. With on-course, that's private information that the administration only has access to. So Ms. Pinelli shared that with us, and it gave us this year's 2018 to 2019 enrollment and the racial demographics per school. And what was unique about that data was that it broke it down not only by high school and middle school, but also by each individual elementary school. And then the yearbooks, what we did with those was we just confirmed the accuracy of the Department of Education data, and also we calculated the proportion of the volley celebrating students to the total Asian students. Because the way that the school collects data, and a lot of bodies collect data, is it's under one subcategory, which is just Asian, but that encompasses China, Japan, India, Pakistan, lots of different religions, lots of different cultures. And so what we culminated it all into was the HV racial breakdown spreadsheet. Mr. Souza, if you could just open that up. Yeah, also, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to stop us, because we might be going a little too quick, or we might not fully explain it. So what these pie charts are from the on-course database that Ms. Pinelli shared with us. So as a stats student, I can't really draw any conclusions from this because they're just individual data points. Mr. Souza, if you could just scroll down a little bit. So as you can see, each of the pie charts are broken down per each elementary school and the middle school and the high school. The only thing that's really significant to me is the Asian population in Stony Brook, which is the top right pie chart, which is about 36%. Compared to any of the other schools, it's significantly less. And for the other populations, the Hispanic students, Black students, their population stays about constant throughout all the other schools besides Stony Brook. Besides that, the only other inference I can make is that the high school is about 10.6% Asian, and the Timberlane is about 14.3%. So that just means that the less diverse senior classes will be graduating and leaving the district, and more diverse Timberlane classes will be entering the high school in coming years. If you could just go to the graduation classes of 1999. Yeah. So just for reference, this is basically what the DOE looks like online. It's just hard numbers of each racial group broken down by race and gender. And so, yeah, it's very long. And the earliest data they have posted is from the school year of 1998 to 1999. So we took all of those senior classes from 1999 to 2018 and looked at the total number of Asian students and compared the trend. But what we realized was that we can't only look at the hard numbers of Asian students in the district, because as time goes on, the class of 99 is going to be significantly smaller than the class of 2018. So obviously there are going to be more Asian students as the class size increases. So what we did instead was, if you could just scroll a little bit to the right, we calculated the proportion and the percentages of the Asian population and looked at that trend. So we looked at the proportional increase. We did the same thing for Black students and Hispanic students. And but what we realized, though, was all the trends that we could gather from that are only of the past. There's nothing we could see into the future. So the last year's worth of posted data on the DOEs of the 2017 to 2018 school year. If you just go over one more. And so what we realized were that the under the senior classes were future graduating classes. And obviously these aren't final numbers, because more Asian students, more Black students can enter the district, and some could leave as well. But what we saw was that none of the changes in population were significant. They were extremely negligible, and they didn't skew the trends or the statistics that we gathered. So what we did was we took all of this information from the classes of 1999 to 2029 and ran some linear regression. So if Mr. Schrager was here, he'd be laughing. But we looked at all of the percentages for all three of the main racial groups. We excluded some groups like 2 or more races and native islanders, because what happened was that those groups weren't collected until 2007, so we wouldn't have been able to make accurate conclusions about that. So if you could just go back to the presentation. So it's a lot of numbers up there, and what it basically synthesized to was just this graph on the next, oh, I can move this one. It's just this graph right here. And so this is 30 years worth of data for the Hopewell Valley racial demographics. So the blue dots, each individual dot is just the percentage of each racial group in the graduation class. And the line that underlies all of the data is the best fit trend line. So it's just the trend line that most accurately depicts the data. And there's an equation there, and it gives us a slope value and an R-squared value. And the x-axis is just the graduation class. So what can we actually conclude from this study? The slope value gives us the rate of change per each demographic as the graduation class size increases, meaning that as the year progresses, there's a 0.37% Asian population increase per graduation class. For Black students, it's 0.0006%, and for Hispanic students, it's 0.13%. But we can't only look at the slope. We also have to look at the R-squared value to measure the merit of the actual trend line and the slope. So the R-squared value is a measure of how close the data is to the fitted trend line, and it's measured from 0 to 1. So a 1 R-squared value would be if the trend line perfectly hit every single data point, which never happens with 2 independent data sets. So in the real world, when you look at 2 completely independent data sets and 2 independent variables, an R-squared of about 0.8 or 0.9 is quite significantly high. And so the R-squared value for the Asian population is 0.801. For the Black population is 0, because there's so much fluctuation that the trend line did not even encompass 1 individual data point. And the Hispanic population, 0.56, which is a mildly significant number. And I would just like to add, so the data that we collected was from 1999 and onwards, and we didn't have access to data before that. But I could make a pretty reasonable inference that if we had had data from 89 and onwards, the trend of the Asian population wouldn't be linear. It would actually be exponential, because the years prior and in the decade prior, the Asian population wouldn't be decreasing significantly than the values you have up there, meaning that it would stay about flat, and then it would start to increase suddenly from about 2010. meaning that's an exponential increase. And the trend value that I'm giving is a bit of an underestimate of how fast the Asian population is actually increasing. Thank you. And really quickly, I don't want to stress on this too much, but the yearbooks, all we really wanted to do was confirm the accuracy of the Department of Education data. So me and Rayhan spent a couple of hours going through 2 separate yearbooks. We got a little lucky because my brother, who's here, he graduated in 2014. And so we just had it lined up where the 2013 and 2014 yearbook had 4 separate classes. And then the yearbook from last year had another 4 classes. And all we really did was counted the number of Asian students to make sure that the DOE was giving us accurate data. And we also wanted to look at the percent of South Asian versus East Asian students. All we can really draw from that is it's about a 50-50 split. There's too much variation in it. If you look at 2018, that's a significantly higher East Asian population. But if like my class and the class below us, it's about a significantly higher South Asian population. So if we had to estimate a split, it'd be 50-50. I'm going to turn it over to Rayhan now.
Yeah, so now that we've been giving you all the data, we figured it'd be good to give you guys a better understanding on what Diwali is. So Diwali is the Hindu celebration that celebrates the goddess of wealth and prosperity, along with the victory of good over evil when the Lord Ram beat the devil Ravan. And so it's also known as the Festival of Lights. So this festival occurs on the Hindu month of Kartika, and the preparations take around 5 days, and the main festivities are on the 3rd day, which is the darkest night on the Hindu lunar calendar. So on that 3rd day, what we do is we perform puja, which are prayers, and these can take up to 3 hours. We set fireworks, and we have large dinners that we do between families and friends. And so these festivities, as you can tell, take up a long time, especially with our prayers, which can take up to 3 hours. Now, when we end up going to school, sometimes we will have to cut down these prayers if we have to make a dinner party or, if we want to do the other festivities. So a lot of these things kind of are up in the air on the day of, and we can't really follow through with the complete celebration that we would like to have on the day of Diwali. So, aside from our school, we then decided to look at which other school districts in New Jersey have off on Diwali. So we did it by high school per district. So as you can see, there's a lot of schools like West Windsor, Plainsboro, South, and North Brunswick and South Brunswick that have a huge high Asian population, which gives why they would have Diwali off. But then if you look at Clifton Public Schools, and also at Glen Rock Public, they have a significantly low Asian population, which coincides with Hopewell's, which is around 11.6%. Now, Glen Rock is at 14.66%, and they do have Diwali off. And that number is going to be what Hopewell will reach in a couple years. So it's a matter of whether or not we want to put this on the calendar now and give Diwali off for the next 3 years, or if we want to wait for the next calendar committee when our numbers are even higher and this topic comes up again for debate. So we just wanted to ask you, why not us? Why can't Hopewell be a school that recognizes Diwali as a holiday, and why don't we shed a positive light given and put some more cultural responsiveness within the school and push for having Diwali off rather than waiting later to have this conversation come up again in the next 3 to 6 years.
Let's work together to put Hopewell Valley on the front lines of religious and racial equality, not only in the county, but also in the state. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was an incredibly impressive presentation. I'm wondering if anybody on the board has any questions for them or comments.
That was very impressive, amazing. So you answered some of my questions when you educated us about Diwali, because I was never sure if it was a religious or a celebratory or sort of a mix, and the prayer, the puja with the prayers for up to 3 hours answered that. I'm wondering if you've done any data for staff members, because I know sometimes districts will say, well, we have offered Jewish holiday also because of staff members, so I'm wondering if there's any data about staff.
We don't have any access to data about staff, but what we do know just by being in the district for all these years is that there is a significantly small population of teachers that do celebrate Diwali.
Thank you.
I did have one question as well. My understanding was that our holidays, which have some association with the religious holiday, are based upon the state calendar. I guess one question I'd have for you is there an active effort within the South Asian community in terms of working with the legislature to establish, to have that noted as a state holiday?
There has been in recent years. There was a Hindu statesman that came down last year, especially after just in Pennsylvania, Miss Brown's son's school district in Council Rock got off for Diwali, and he came down and he spoke to both Pennsylvania and New Jersey legislators, talking about how Diwali should be a holiday that is recognized off, but there hasn't been any progress in it in the past, I'd say, 5 years.
The state does have a list of state-approved holidays. I think there are up to 93 of them.
Yeah, it's an extremely long list, and it encompasses a lot of religions.
Yep.
Well, you had me at the basis of the holiday, the victory of good over evil, and the prayers that you do. It's a festival of lights. To me, and of course, wealth and prosperity. It just seems to me like it would be a very positive thing to celebrate and to support. I do have a question for Dr. Smith. What does it take to change our calendar as far as adding a holiday based on how many days we have to be in school, and does it mean we'd have to decide a holiday that we were going to drop in order to add? Like, what do you think that it would take to make this happen?
Sure. So we had the conversation when the students presented to us. We have to go, by contract, 182 instructional days. So the day would have to come from someplace. Serendipitously, we also, as part of our calendar survey, had a question about reducing the President's Weekend from 4 days to 3 days. And that was before this conversation even happened, just looking at that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think for the next 2 years, Diwali falls on the third day falls on a weekend. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're really looking 3 years out, and I think it falls on a Wednesday in October, Thursday in October, right? Yeah. So that's, so the first 2 years, it technically wouldn't really have an impact on our calendar other than the recognition of it. Year 3 and beyond, it would have an impact. But again, going back to our conversation, we go 182 days and we could have every other day off, if we wanted to. No, I mean, not making light of it, but, we could have it every Wednesday off, but it, it just extends the 182 days of how we work it out. But this one, I think, was a one that resonated a lot with everybody in the room. Your point was well taken about cultural responsiveness, our fastest growing group. Something else, I'll put the students on the spot. They know that we're doing a lot of work in the community with families, and said, we really need to pay attention also to our Asian community who are feeling, they want to be part of the conversation. And that's something I've made a commitment as we move forward to is bringing those folks to the table and having conversations. My ultimate goal, and this is kind of as a side note to this, is to have, wouldn't it be great if we had a district diversity council made up of diverse families to have these conversations? We're a couple years away from that, but I think this is an excellent start to having the conversation. And I mean, just blown away by the work. And this, again, this was a passion project. This was not part of an assignment. You got no credit for this, and it was really something they put together. I think we should all be very impressed by what they've accomplished.
Yeah, I definitely want to thank you for coming and opening my eyes to Diwali, because it sounds like something I would want to support, and just to make sure that everybody's aware of such a wonderful celebration that you have. Now, do you feel that one day is enough? 5 days of preparation? Are we just looking at one day, or are we thinking more like 2?
No, 1 day is definitely more than enough. I mean, all the preparation and stuff we normally can handle at home between our families and splitting up chores and stuff, but it's just that one day that is when the main festivities occur, and then we light fireworks. We don't do that all 5 days, but it's on the third day where everything big happens.
We'll gladly take 5 days.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
We're going to school till July 15th.
Well, thank you so very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And now we have another student to hear from. Shabani, if you could please provide us with your report.
Of course. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to applaud Rayhan and Drew again for that insightful presentation. Okay, so we have a lot of events to cover. So first, starting off with past events, 19 CHS students qualified to participate in the New Jersey DECA conference. Next up, Mrs. Sell was chosen as the HVCHS Educator of the Year, so congrats to her. On January 8th in the PAC, the National Honor Society induction ceremony was held, welcoming the inductees of the Gamma Beta class of the NHS chapter at Hopewell Valley. At the Poetry Out Loud competition on January 16th, Viviana De Leon Gonzalez was awarded the 2019 winner. The HVCHS Troop 7964 had many achievements at the New Jersey Thespian Festival, including 25 individual events receiving superior ratings. Elliot Block won second place for Best Actor, Madeline Carlton for Best Actress, and Jimmy Waltman for Best Actor. The AP Gov students were selected to participate in the We the People program at Rutgers University on January 23rd. Mr. Radziski, sorry if I butchered that, became the Educational Support Professional of the Year. The art students of Mr. and Miss Masterson Dam made contributions to the Phillips Mill Youth Art Exhibition. Emily X.R. Pan, a New York Times bestselling author of The Astonishing Color of After, came in on February 1st to speak with students about becoming a storyteller. Miss Leah Hopkins was selected the Mercer County STEM Teacher of the Year. On February 4th, the Hopewell Valley Municipal Alliance and our community's resources came in to the high school's new gym to hold a successful teen wellness fair. And on February 8th, the Summer Job and Community Service Fair was held for high school students in the Media Center. Moving on to sports, on February 6th, high school seniors signed their national letters of intent for girls basketball, boys soccer, baseball, football, track, and boys tennis. Congratulations to these student athletes. HV Athletics and HVRSD was named one of the 50 best NJ public high schools for sports. Hopewell was also ranked the highest in Mercer County and the CVC. Finally, Kylie Pfluger was awarded this year's Women in Sports Award at Seton Hall University. Moving on to Hopewell Valley Wrestling, the current overall record for the wrestling team is 21-6 this season. Some notable victories include matches against Steiner, Hightstown, Montgomery, Morris Hills, Notre Dame, and West Windsor South. The boys wrestling team received their 9th consecutive MCT title and 11th out of the last 12 years, and Chris Lanciano got his 100th wrestling career win. Moving on to hockey, the hockey team held a salute to service game on February 2nd, ending with a victory of 10-0 against Pennsauken. Other notable games for the team include wins against Lawrence, Pennington, Brick Township, Nottingham, and Steiner. Moving on to track, on January 6th, John O'Connor took first in the 800, Will Titus took first in the 1600, Alex Dumont took first for the 3200, and Jack Moyo won the shot put in the competitive meet against Lawrenceville and West Windsor North. Sean Dolan ran a U.S. #1 time of 2:25:39 1K against pros. He was less than a second away from getting top 10 of all time on January 10th. For swim and dive, the boys swimming team had notable wins in meets against Nottingham, Robbinsville, Ewing, Hamilton West, and Trenton. The girls have had a successful season with wins in meets against Steiner, Princeton, Nottingham, Ewing, Hamilton West, and Trenton. Congratulations to diver Mary Kwok, who won the Montgomery 11 Dive Invitational on February 5th. Moving on to boys basketball, the current overall record is 15-6 and a conference division of 4-2. Key successes for the boys basketball team include wins against Hamilton, West Windsor South, and North, Steiner, and Nottingham. For girls basketball, the current overall record is 14-6 and a conference division of 6-1. Notable games for the girls team include wins against Hunn, West Windsor, Plainsboro South, Steiner, PDS, Nottingham, Allentown, Hightstown, and Hamilton West. And on January 25th, Maggie Wiley earned her 1,000th career point. For upcoming events, there will be an assembly February 13th called Project Pride. This is for the upperclassmen, 11th and 12th graders, and it's an assembly where 4 inmates will come in to talk about their significant difficulties with drugs and alcohol, and it will be a profound and informative experience for the upperclassmen. On February 28th, we'll have our Hopewell Valley Night Off. It's a Thursday, and the high school's Winter Musical Chicago is coming up soon. Tickets are on sale for March 1st, 2nd, 8th, and 9th, and all shows will begin at 7:30 at the PAC. And finally, on behalf of the student body, I've been requested to ask what's the likelihood of a snow day for tomorrow.
Well done, Shivani. Well played.
Where I believe I heard today, I don't know if it was in Mr. Strager's class, but there was some stats work going on on whether we're going to have it.
Do our friends have the stat outcome?
I don't know if it's whether it's going to snow or whether I'm going to make the decision tonight or tomorrow. Is that the stat? I don't. That's it.
They're like, what? We're off the clock now. We're
Like
done.
It's like the over.
Mic drop. Shivani, thank you. That was an incredibly thorough report. Well done. Really well done.
Yeah, she's not getting
Yeah,
an answer.
there's no
It's fine. I get it.
Great job.
He's getting
Next.
sheepish on me over here.
Gotcha. There will be a communication later this evening. Stay tuned, maybe around 9. If we're still, well, if the board meeting goes long, it might be 10. So it could be 8:30 if the board meeting goes real quick.
Does anybody have any comments or questions for Shivani? Did you take notes? That's great. Okay. Thank you. Very well done. Well, I don't have anything very important to report, so I am going to pass on to Dr. Smith.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I guess,
Pressing.
yeah, I've never gotten more emails than I've gotten in the last like 3 hours. So obviously we're watching the weather very closely in terms of this. If we have a snow day, it will be our first e-learning day of the year. This e-learning will be different than previous ones. We had some very ingenious students who actually were able to receive early access to one of our e-learning documents. But we shut that down after a little bit of time. It didn't stop these 93 other kids from asking for permission to access the
That's what we
document.
get for having smart students.
So, but if it does in fact happen, the e-learning assignments will be released in the morning, so the days. But I think we tried to develop those so they are reflective of our district initiatives. There's an equity assignment. There's some wellness work in there. I think I hopefully think it is some rewarding work for the students to participate in. And ultimately the day would count towards the 182 instructional days. So this is a little bit of a change from last year, but hopefully we're expecting some good things. If in fact there is a snow day tomorrow, but we'll see. In other news, I'm going to transition real quickly to the budget. I'm sorry? Audit. Oh, you're going to do your audit and then I'll do the budget? All right. Okay, I'm going to transition quickly to Mr. Calavita, who's going to discuss our audit, and then we're going to come back to me and talk about the budget.
Thank you.
Yes, so I would like a motion to move the annual audit.
Okay, just quickly, the audit this year was delayed. Typically, we have an audit that is due to be approved by the board by December 4th. There was some data that the state needed to provide to the auditors. They did not do that in a timely manner. They finally submitted the information a few weeks ago, so we have our final audit. The good news to report is that there are no audit findings this year, so we have no corrective action plan to make. We received what's called an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion you can get. It means that the auditors had to make no corrections to the financial statements. So we are pleased with that. It is a team effort with all the people in the district, not just my office. A great deal of work goes along at the schools with our secretaries and principals, as well as all the folks that work here in the business office and all the departments. So I thank them for their help. I thank my team for their work on this, because without them, we couldn't get it done. So I present an audit to the board with no findings and our financial situation in good stead.
Any questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained? Motion carries.
Yeah. Yeah. I can connect. That's fine. Hold on, I got a lot of good stuff on my computer screen. I got to close it out. I got a lot of e-learning stuff going on. Do you have it? I emailed it to, I thought both of you said to me.
Are you just looking for the presentation that's on Board Docs? Or do you need something more?
It's not on
No.
Board Docs.
The computer is. Yeah, it's on board.
What? Okay.
I'll pull it up on Board Docs.
It's not. I don't think it's there. Gina put it.
Yeah.
Gina put it.
I have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless it's the wrong one.
Get right in the meeting.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Who's connected?
I'm connected. Okay. There we go. Okay, so this will just be a brief presentation to bring everybody up to speed of where we are in our budget process. This is presentation number 1. So budget timeline, we wait really to develop or finalize our preliminary budget when we get the governor's budget message on March 5th, and then the state aid figures on March 7th. As the board is aware, we've received a very slight increase over recent years, but nothing to the extent of we expect or by the funding formula. So we will have, after we receive those numbers, we will have our board budget retreat on March 11th and the preliminary budget adoption on March 18th. And that will go to the county on the 20th. So we will continue our discussions through April, and our final budget adoption is May 6th. So as we develop the budget, I just want to make this clear to everybody, is when we try to develop a budget, we want to be responsible for the taxpayers. But ultimately, as you've heard tonight from our students and our programs and the services that we provide our students, we really want to make sure that we have opportunities for all of our students. We want to make sure we have extra and co-curricular opportunities for all of our students. We were saying that we wanted to develop a whole child before it was cool. You know, that's really been our mantra for at least the last decade, and really focusing on social emotional learning, and I think we've been successful with that. We want to continue to support and develop our staff for excellence. We are fortunate that I think we have a very highly educated and well-supported staff. For the district, our long-term planning for academics, a long-term planning for staffing. We have a referendum that is addressing our aging facilities, but we still have more projects to do. And ultimately our messaging to everyone working on that. So in terms of return on your investment, in terms of taxpayers and also the Board of Education, again, I go back to developing the whole child but you heard some of our accolades this evening in athletics, but we continue to achieve our highest rankings ever. In New Jersey Monthly, our highest ranking ever, our niche rankings, SAT scores, the highest ever in our state rankings, one of the top districts in America, but ultimately is about more students having access to our programs. When we talk about the whole child, we're looking at our athletic programs, our music programs. Something I'm pretty passionate and proud to still have. We are one of the few districts, certainly high-performing districts, that still have a working auto shop in our high school, as well as a wood shop and an engineering lab. Again, trying to value and support the whole child. We added full-day kindergarten when other districts were taking things away. Those pop up. Those are all the students asking for the e-learning document. The word is out that something's happening, so somebody's texting from this meeting. I'm not going to blame them. Not pointing fingers, but something's going on. So we added Chinese when other schools were pulling programs away. If you're in the middle school and high school, we have over 100 co-curricular and clubs and enrichments, excellent class sizes. As Bob mentioned, our business office was recognized again. And our referendum projects we're about 90% complete and under budget in our projects. So we're pretty proud of that. The biggest driver for our budget, like nationally, is salaries and benefits. Our money is in our people. That is our program. We don't make widgets, we develop children, and we develop children like you met this evening. And that comes to fruition with a dedicated and strong staff. Something you should just be aware of, again, if you're worried about what's happening on the state level, you look at this, and we are receiving the lowest amount of state aid in our county per child. So, when we develop a budget, again, we want to be responsible for the taxpayers, but if you look at some of our surrounding districts, they are receiving more state aid than we are. And I know that we pay high property taxes here. What are we getting back from our state to support our programming? So that's something we were talking earlier today with some of the HVEA leadership also is really trying to open the state's eyes to what I consider this is unfair in terms of how we are seen in the state in terms of our budget. So that's one of our additional areas that we'll be working on. So I'm going to end with where I began, the budget timeline. On March 5th, we have the governor's budget message. March 7th is a big day for us, so we will know where we land in terms of our state aid figures, and it will allow us to finalize our preliminary budget in preparation for our Board of Education retreat on March 11th. If you want to come back, our preliminary budget adoption is on March 18th. Always a fun meeting if you want to come. It's the budget. It's an important one. It's not as good as just stats. We don't have all the stats, but maybe we'll work together on the budget presentation. But then April, we really continue our conversation. In May is where our public hearing and final adoption of our full budget, and you can see where all of our monies go. So again, that's just a kind of a preliminary budget presentation to give you our timeline. Things really start to ramp up in March. We've been meeting with our budget managers through this. That's the principals and our supervisors who oversee some of our departments that are our most costly departments, and making sure that we are doing what we can to support our students. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, but I'm going to disconnect real quick.
Does anybody have any questions or comments on our budget review? Okay, seeing none, I will move on to public comment. Members of the public are invited to address the board on any matter for a maximum of 3 minutes during this portion of the meeting. You are asked to state your name, address, and municipality. In response to your comments, the Board of Education may respond or direct the superintendent to do so. The board may also opt to take the matter up at a future meeting so that the matter is researched by the district administration. Public comment is now open.
Hi. I have a little speech prepared for today. My name is Jack Elliott.
Can you pull the mic to you? And
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you. Very nice.
My name is Jack Elliott. I live at 46 North Greenwood Avenue in Hopewell Borough. Good?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Should I go? Yeah? Okay. Hi. My name is Jack Elliott, and I stand here today, not as the son of a teacher, although I am that, but as a student at Timberlane and a former Hopewell Elementary student. I know that the teachers have been working without a contract since the beginning of the school year. I've prepared some thoughts on my experience here in the HVRSD. I love school, and I love seeing my teachers every day. This has been true since my first day of kindergarten with Mrs. Joan Smith, and continues now in Timberlane. I want to tell you about just a few of the many teachers who have influenced me. All of these teachers taught me the typical school things, but they also taught me things outside of the regular curriculum. Mrs. Smith, my kindergarten teacher, taught me to love learning. She taught me that school is fun. Miss Fleischer, my third grade teacher, taught me the love of reading by modeling a love of reading. Mrs. Hamer, my fifth grade teacher, taught me to be strong in the face of hardships. Mrs. Alford, my music teacher throughout all of elementary school, taught me to have a love of music. And then Dr. Jenkins, my current music teacher, taught me to grow that love into a passion. Miss Rennick, my sixth grade science teacher, taught me to be enthusiastic and joyful. And Miss Pegram taught me to be careful and take my time. Mr. Soji, my current seventh grade social studies teacher, taught me to add a hint of comedy to my life. Miss Kelly, my math teacher, taught me that you don't have to sugarcoat things and that being honest is powerful. Miss Sears, my current language arts teacher, taught me to become more eloquent, which I hope is remotely coming through here tonight.
It is.
I hope that you will realize how much these teachers mean to everyone and come to an agreement. As one of my friends said to the other day, these teachers should get paid more. They have to deal with us. You know these names because these teachers are amazing. They may have come before you to collect awards and accolades. For some of you, these names represent someone who has changed the lives of your very own children. I understand that budget and curriculum are important, but the impact of a teacher on a student's life far outweighs any sort of short-term budget issue. My friend was making a joke about us crazy middle school students. I think what she's getting at is that what these teachers bring to our lives is greater than any contract dispute. Please settle now by recognizing what these teachers do for all of us. Thank you. Do I go back?
Thank you, Mr. Elliott.
Do I go back?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well done. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Josna Raj Mohan. I live on 21 Blake Drive, Pennington, and a mother of 3 kids. 2 of them are currently in Hopewell Valley School District. The third one is yet to come next year. And I'm here for Jack, who did an impressive job. So I've been seeing this quite some time, teachers walking with their badges, but I didn't know what it was. And I learned about it, and I'm extremely sorry that we, as a homeowner of Pennington, we pay high taxes, as you know. So where does the budget go? I mean, you know, you're going to talk to the state about it. So why don't we settle it down? I would say, though I'm a mother of 3 kids, I hardly take care of my children. They're more in school rather than home. All I do is they come back home, I feed them, put them to bed. Okay? So they are in the hands of the safe teachers, wonderful teachers. My students have been in Stony Brook. They're currently in Timberlane. And if I have to stay here, the only reason I brought my second child here with me today. My husband has a traveling job. He travels, he's a visiting dad, we call him that. So he comes home once a week, and he's hardly with us. So if that's the case, then don't we need to keep them happy here? Because none of us have time for them. All they have time is in the school, the teachers take care of them. And though Dad insists on us moving back to California, he's tried several times. And the only reason he's held back here is because of my first and second daughter. They just don't want to leave Hopewell Valley Student District. And that's the only reason, sir. And I do not want to leave this district. I repeat it again. I want to be here. I want to keep my teachers happy, my children happy. I would be extremely happy if they all are happy and you can keep and settle it down as soon as you can. And second is about Diwali. I'm a nation too. I've come from India. And Diwali is one of the important festival for us. Now, I have no idea as to how the Jewish holiday must have come in picture and it's been added in the calendar. Maybe you've taken survey, you've kind of researched about it, but why not Diwali? Why not a Chinese New Year? We are not less than them. I mean, we are also one of the population here. And I've seen as 36% as what he came up with. That's quite a number. And I see that number growing more and more, and it's not going to go down. The only reason people move into Hopewell Valley School District is because of their ratings. And I want that to continue, and I hope you settle everything down and also get everything into picture as to whatever I've mentioned here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Neshrahan.
Hi, good evening. My name is Melanie Lowe Hoffman. I live at 62 Chicory Lane in Pennington. I have my son, Logan. He's in kindergarten. And I have to say that similar to the woman who just presented before me, I was surprised to learn about the strike. The contract dispute. Because when I was growing up, there was a strike. And I just recently learned from a friend who's a lawyer that that is now illegal in New Jersey. And I guess what I was most surprised by is I've received a lot of language from the district about leadership, about being different than the national rhetoric. And the fact that there isn't a conversation going on between the board and the teachers union, to me, is disappointing. And it's disappointing to show the students that there isn't engagement and conversation, that there has to be a drawn out process. Be at the table and find a way to mediate and settle, and demonstrate that we're different than what's happening in this country, that we can't compromise. My son doesn't have a clue as to what's going on right now, but high school students do, middle school students do, and be a leader for those children and for the parents, and find a way to start the conversation and settle with the teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rowe-Hoffman. Would anyone else like to speak? Seeing none, public comment is now closed. First of all, Mr. Elliott, that was an incredibly impressive celebration of your life in this district, and I want to thank you for coming out on this late evening. But maybe you'll get a day off tomorrow so I can rest this off.
Talk about pressure.
No pressure, Dr. Smith, none at all. And since all three of you, also Mrs. Nashrohan and Mrs. Rowe-Hoffman, we're all here for basically the same reason, I can't say that I agree more with everything that you just said. We do want to be different, and we do want to settle this quickly. We're in a part of the process where we are waiting for a report to come back. I wish we didn't have to wait for that report, but we're at this part of the process. My hope is moving forward from this year that we will have a different conversation for the next several years leading into the next negotiation, so that we don't end up at this place. I want to thank you all for coming out and voicing your concerns and your feelings, because I too am a parent of right now 4 kids in the district, and 2 of them are graduating this year. When I see the opportunities ahead for my children. I have so many of you sitting in the room right now to thank for that. So we will do our best to come to an equitable agreement as fast as possible. And yeah, I'm sorry that it's gone this long as well. So thank you very much. Okay. Do we have any items of old business? Anyone? Okay. May I have a motion, please, for our consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Motion carries.
I'll be making a snow announcement in about 3 minutes. No, I'm just kidding.
And I've said it several times, so I hope I'm right.
They didn't put the aisle down the center tonight.
Oh.
Fix that. Yeah, we gotta fix that. There's not an aisle down the center.
It's probably like a safety violation
Yeah,
or something.
absolutely. Oh. And we always have an aisle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Okay, finance and facilities, Mr. DiDonato.
So I do have an item to move. It is the acceptance of a donation. And this is in the amount of $500 for a refrigerator that's donated to the Timberlane Middle School faculty room. So today in the finance and facilities meeting, we talked. Oh yes, as a matter of fact, we do. Yeah, so.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting the donation to, is it Bear Tavern? Timberlane? Timberlane.
Yay, nay?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Motion carries.
You want me to say that? I want the bulldog. I'm upset. I'll keep it over there. I'll earn it. So we had a meeting today, and we discussed, some pieces of the referendum. Obviously, we have some temporary certificates of occupancy that are coming up, so that's definitely looking good. Out of this, we'll end up with a ton of punch list items, etc. Some good news about the media centers at our elementary schools. We think possibly by Feb 20th for the majority. Maybe Bear Tavern's going to be a couple weeks behind from there. I think overall things are coming along. We have the opening of the high school entrance on the 20th, so that's exciting. And that's really it. We had discussions about the budget. We have another meeting for the facilities committee that we're going to discuss the date and time and publish this to discuss just about how we're going to take that budget into the next cycle and just offer more options for the board. So really, that's what that next meeting's about. Outside of that, that's really it. Questions?
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. DiDonato? Okay. So keep that February 20th on your list if you can make it 7:15 in the morning, right?
7:15. It will be brief. Just Tana will officially open the doors for students.
Are you bringing snacks, coffee?
There will be light refreshments in the new cafeteria for those who attend.
There you go. One more reason to come.
There you go.
Okay. Moving on. Personnel.
I'd like a motion to move the Personnel Committee agenda.
So moved.
There are a couple of individuals that on the agenda this evening that we'd like to publicly recognize and thank them for their years of service. Bob Gramond, custodial supervisor, who's been with the district since 1982 and has served as a custodian, head custodian, and supervisor. Kathleen LaPlante, who has been a paraprofessional in the district since 1989. We'd also like to recognize our 3 support professionals of the year who will also be honored at our March 18th board meeting. Dave Radziewski, head custodian at the Central High School, Patty Armstrong, the paraprofessional at Timberlane, Jay Lenarski, campus safety officer at Stony Brook. And then just a couple of things that we discussed this evening at our meeting. One was that the non-tenure review process will be taking place later this month with the district administrative team. Also, there's an upcoming CJ Pride, which is the Central Jersey program for the recruitment of diverse educators. It's a job fair that's going to be held on March 14th at Krebs Middle School in East Windsor that the district will be participating in the interviewing of possible candidates for the district. And lastly, the implementation of a new online software called Frontline that has been rolled out to the staff. It was rolled out on February 4th. And this is a system that's being used to obtain substitute teachers when a staff member is out, and it's an electronic means in sort of putting in the date that they will be out and requesting the substitute. It even has the ability to, if they have some favorite substitutes that have done a good job in covering for them, they could sort of have their favorites list in there, and they could also add notes in there. They can upload the lesson plan for the day, and this is all done electronically, which really helps in sort of keeping track of all the substitutes. And I think that's about covered. Anything you want to add, Tony?
Well done. Okay, Mr. Calavita, may I have a roll call, please?
Mr. DiDonato?
Yes.
Ms. Linthorst? Yes. Ms. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Markulek? Yes. Ms. O'Reilly?
Yes.
Ms. Pollara?
Yes.
Mr. Sawicki?
Yes.
Ms. Tracy?
Yes.
And Ms. Murray?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, ed program.
Okay, everything was on the consent agenda, so there's nothing to move, but I just wanted to give a quick update and also let you know a plan that we discussed today, because so many great things are happening in our schools, and the Ed Committee is super lucky because we get all these presentations and all these amazing students come to speak with us and teachers who are doing incredible things. So we are working on a plan to bring in more of those presentations to the full board, so that instead of me just reporting on it, you guys can really hear from the people who are doing this incredible work. But just as a sneak peek to one of the presentations that was going to come, we had a presentation today from 2 students and the lead teacher on the Virtual Pathways program. And this is a program that the board approved last year, started this year, for students who just were pretty much done with the Hopewell School District. And we have 12 students, is that right? 12 total students who are participating, and 2 of the young women,
No, you're on.
of the young women.
No, you're good.
If it's red, does that have a red?
There, now it's red.
Yep.
2 of the young women who are participating in it came to really share their experiences. And when I tell you, they lit up the room with how connected they feel to their instructor, how connected they feel to the program, and how excited they are for their futures. So it was great. So instead of me giving all the details, they're going to, Dr. Tree spoke to them, and they're going to come back to report to the full board. So stay tuned. Thank you.
It's really great. I just wanted to, mention that one of the things I realized, because we had Nicole G and Freddie from the middle school come in and talk about changing some of the programming that they felt wasn't really supporting the kids as much as they would like to, and adding some other programming in. Just how we have a number of administrators and curriculum people that have a history of special education. And it really, today, for some reason, it just hit me in the face. Like, we are incredibly lucky to have Dr. Smith, Nicole G and Freddie and others that are advocating for our students, not just the students at the top, not just the ones in the middle, not just the ones at the bottom, but everybody in between, really to support them where they are. And I really think, I mean, I've often said, you know, I'm in real estate, and I sit in these meetings with, you know, 93 people across Mercer County, Pennsylvania, and up into Montgomery. And whenever an agent comes in and says, you know, I have somebody coming in with some learning issues, and they all say, go to Hopewell. They don't say go to Princeton. They don't say go to West Windsor. They say go to Hopewell. Look in Hopewell first. And I think that's a testament to what you have really brought to our district and everybody that supports you. So I just wanted to share that because I think it's pretty incredible. So, moving on. Community relations.
We had our first meeting a couple weeks ago. Seems like it was a lifetime ago now. And I'm going to apologize, I don't have it in front of me. We kind of redefined what community relations was versus just communications. I don't know, you came up with it really well. I don't have it written down, but it was sort of a nice little mission statement, or what you want to call what we are doing.
Oh no, you're going to have him digging in that computer again.
I know. Well, we can get it together for the next meeting. It's not, I mean, we just sort of were getting rolling with this committee.
Yeah, I'm actually excited the direction that we're
Hopefully
going.
in the future we'll have a little more to report.
It really felt like just a setting the parameters meeting, like setting our mission and where we want to go with it. So stay tuned.
Yeah, we can stay tuned. We can find it for next time.
Yeah, because, you know, Adam's going to need a couple hours.
No,
Policy.
No. If anything, like, I got some feedback from Rosetta, which was very good, so I'll try to liven it up a little. She was saying, like, oh, I can't.
Wait, are you going to wear special boots?
Yeah. If you want to sidetrack real quick before Adam goes, the agreed upon mission was the committee provides guidance on the district's strategy to build strong and effective relationships with various community stakeholders. Crafted by Susan Flair.
Susan.
Nice. Excellent.
Oversight of communication going out to the community was one bullet, although bullets are apparently tough. Oversees the board liaisons and they're reporting out to the board. So, and we'll also be looking over the calendar before it goes to the full board.
Yeah, we discussed the calendar a bit.
So I'm sorry, Adam.
Okay. All right. So can I get a motion to move the policies and regs up for first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Great. Okay, so we have 4 up today. First, we have Policy and Regulation 7441, electronic surveillance in school buildings and on school grounds. So don't worry, this isn't Big Brother. If anything, it's the exact opposite. It's putting in restrictions as to who and when those electronic recordings can be reviewed, right? Codifying our relationship with local law enforcement, et cetera. We also have Policy and Regulation 9150, which deals with school visitors. And this is primarily to update really the regulation in terms of our procedures and how they've changed recently when we have school visitors. So putting in things like badging requirements, for et cetera. So it's basically putting into policy and regulation what has evolved into our current practice.
So this is catching it up with what we already have.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Exactly. Okay.
Okay, so this is just first reading. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Motion carries.
Great. Okay, can I have a motion to move the policies and regulations up for second reading, please?
So moved. Second.
Excellent. So we have 3. We have policy 6162, corporate sponsorship. This was again updating this to be consistent with our facilities use changes in terms of designations of different organizations that we work with. And also we have policy and regulation 1613, disclosure and review of applicants' employment history. As we noted last time, this primarily deals with what the procedures that have to occur when we review for people seeking employment in terms of records relating to child abuse and sexual misconduct. And those primarily came from new state law.
Any questions or discussion of those up for second reading? Okay. I need a roll call then.
Ms. Linthorst?
Yes.
Ms. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Markulek?
Yes.
Ms. O'Reilly? Ms. Polaro? Mr. Sawicki?
Yes.
Ms. Tracy?
Yes.
Mr. DiDonato?
Yes.
And Ms. Murray?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Next up, board calendars.
It's okay.
May I have a motion, please, and a second?
So moved. Second.
Got it.
We gotcha. Yes. Of course. Okay.
Do we get to vote on that? Michael's on every committee.
Popular guy.
So we have community relations, we have policy, we have finance.
We need to put community.
Wait, didn't you have a finance you wanted to add on there?
We added it. It's on the 4th.
And I was-
March 4th at 4:30.
Okay.
I think,
Oh, okay.
state aid's gonna be.
It was a big bump this year. Mr. Murphy gave us what, another?
We won't know it by
Another $5?
We just went up to $1,460 a student.
What?
From 960.
From 920.
That's a big jump.
You did
No, I mean, I just sent out
see
an
it?
email. Yeah, but I agree. I agree.
I'm not, the philosophy part of our conversation doesn't, it's not.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Do we want to keep the 11th too, or the 18th, 4th and the 18th, for finance? Good.
Yeah.
Keep in mind on the 18th, we have a reception for the year.
Yeah, so by the 18th, though, we're done. We have submission, right, at that point for facilities. What's the?
By the time we leave on the 11th, we'll have been given direction by the board
I mean, I'm
as
okay
to
with
how we're gonna.
not having the 18th. I mean, a lot of the work that we need to do is done by the.
We still have to go on the finance facilities.
Yeah, you just have regular.
Yeah, in case anything comes up that needs to be approved.
Well, you got two. You got personnel and finance back to back.
Yeah.
And then we've got that early reception for the teaching members. Go back to the February time.
So we're doing that at CHS, right? In the, is it the media center or are we doing it in?
Which thing?
The reception on the 18th.
Usually we do it here.
Yeah, I think we'll do it here.
We're doing it here?
Yeah,
Really?
we usually do it.
So we need to do something up at the high school again.
Yeah, the
We'll
media
have-
center might not be the best place to. In the front, yeah.
Front might be
What about
open
in
by
the
then.
CAF?
but
We could
we'll-
do it in the new community room at the CAF. We could do that.
If it's
Yeah.
make sure it's open first.
I think that's a great idea.
The 18th.
Do it
I'd
at
like
the
to
high
get us
school?
all back in the high school again.
You guys all okay with the February 12th item?
What's February 12th?
I saw that.
Is that Diwali?
The
Don't-
kids hacked in again.
We're all getting on our phones are all about to start ringing.
After 17 minutes. Yeah, that's I know. I know.
Pressured.
Oh,
I know. No, that's not true. That's not true. I was on the conference call with him at 7. Yeah, come on now.
Better be able to, if we're opening 2 days later, we better be able to.
No, we'll be open for a
I
month.
think I heard rain.
Oh, wait, oh, this is March.
We'd be open for a month.
Oh, it's in March, oh.
So the tech is ready for it.
Oh, I don't know. You never know. I think Alexa says,
Our technology is
0.05.
terrible in here.
And no way.
What are you talking about? It's
Bring
good
some
in here.
salt, put salt on the bottom of the
Today.
juice.
User error.
See, Bob,
Good?
Bob,
All-
now you got him. Now he's on there.
Out on our front porch.
Okay.
It's
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained?
You guys have lost your.
Motion carries. We're
Oh,
like,
yeah, right. What do we-
we're like
Oh,
herding
yes,
cats
well,
right now.
That one too, yeah.
Okay.
Any new business? Anyone? Bueller? Public comment. Members of the public are invited to address the board on any matter for a maximum of 3 minutes during this portion of the meeting. You are asked to state your name, address, and municipality. In response to your comments, the Board of Education may respond or direct the superintendent to do so. The board may also opt to take the matter up at a future meeting so that the matter is researched by the district administration. Public comment is now open. Anyone? Seeing none, public comment is now closed. I'd like a motion, please, to go into executive session to discuss to review harassment, intimidation, and bullying matters, and a personal matter involving employee number 4018. No action will be taken until we get back out of.
Right, will be taken.
Oh, after executive session. Okay. Action will be taken after our executive session. So may I have a motion, please?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Thank you. Motion carries. Yeah, you've got 14.